Today is Halloween, and there's no better day of the year to study the brain of a Fiddlesticks player than today. And so that's exactly what we'll do. So prepare to endure 7 minutes of a fake neuroscientist yapping about your favorite character. And today, we will unveil all 5 parts of the Fiddlesticks player's brain. So you better ward over every single wall, because this is the psychology of every Fiddlesticks player. Now, we all know Fiddlesticks for his ultimate, but that's just what you notice on the surface when you play against him. There's much more going on in there than you think, starting with this first region. This is the Drain Chamber, and it's based around his W ability, Bountiful Harvest. Fiddlesticks channels in place and damages everyone around while healing himself, and the Fiddlesticks players love this ability. And not just because it gives him great sustain and clear speed in the jungle. The problem is it gives Fiddlesticks mains the delusion that they're immortal. Fiddlesticks is a very squishy champion. He doesn't build many health items, but Fiddlesticks players seem to think that they're playing Vladimir without the bonus health passive. So even when the enemy team has the Fiddlesticks dead to rights, instead of running, they'll sit there and channel a full W expecting to heal. And even if the Fiddlesticks player is running away, if W comes off cooldown, you know they're going to use it. This region runs primarily on pure denial. They deny that the enemy team has enough burst to kill them, and they have enough blind faith to believe that they can tank anything as long as they channel long enough. It's also responsible for getting them into situations they would never go into without their ult, because when the enemies are grouped up and he doesn't have ult, Fiddlesticks should stay away. But this region of the brain overpowers them and tells them to walk right into the middle of all of them so they can press W. And even when they inevitably die, they'll take credit for the fight if they win, then come out of base with a Dark Seal when they respawn. And now we move on to the second part of their brain. This is the Hide and Shriek lobe. Now, we've all been on the receiving end of a Fiddlesticks showing up out of nowhere and ruining your day. But what we don't see is the art that goes into it. Fiddlesticks players have a working knowledge of the perfect engage spot for every single fight. They just have to get in position first. But once they do, it's going to be great. They've already cleared the vision, and they're sitting in their favorite bush that they probably have a name for, but sometimes there's a problem. Sometimes the enemy team just doesn't walk where they need them to. But instead of sacrificing the perfect setup, they'll just watch their team die. Because a true Fiddlesticks player would rather lose the game than give up a chance at a perfect ultimate. So of course, you'll remember when the Fiddlesticks ult works and you all die. But what you won't remember is the amount of times Fiddlesticks wasn't in the fight because he was hiding in a bush somewhere waiting for you. This is a pain that only Fiddlesticks players and their teammates are forced to feel. But that won't stop them from planning the next ult. With more preparation, it can be done next time. They just need to finish naming every bush and memorizing every wall they could ult over. But now we move on to the third part of the Fiddlesticks player's brain. This is the harmless scarecrow cortex. This part of the brain, of course, revolves around Fiddlesticks' passive. Instead of wards, he has scarecrows that imitate his actions. And good Fiddlesticks players know that it goes beyond that. But of course, they're still going to find it hilarious if you fall for the decoy. They might even pretend to be a decoy themselves. Then when you think you're safe, they'll strike when you least expect it. And if it works once, they'll be in your head the rest of the game. And you'll be forced to reconsider whether every single scarecrow is the real Fiddlesticks or just a scarecrow. But there's actually even more uses than just this. They'll also use these to clear wards to plot their next ambush. But the truly insane Fiddlesticks players will use these just to block your skill shots. They might even send it flying over a blast cone to get more vision, or just for fun. The fact of the matter is that even though this functions as Fiddlesticks' ward, they would rather use it for anything other than just warding. And then they'll still end the game with the highest vision score. So while you would be lying to say that you've never fallen for a fake Fiddlesticks, the truth is that the Fiddlesticks players have much more use for it than just that. They just don't want you to know about it. Now I want to stop for a second and talk about something. You may be wondering why this video is about Fiddlesticks and not Singed, even though he won the poll. Well, I didn't forget about him. I just wanted to make sure I covered Fiddlesticks by Halloween. But as always, go to the comments and tell me which champion we should do next. And if you want to make sure you don't miss it when I study the brain of your favorite champion, then subscribe to the channel. And if you're over halfway through the video and you're still here, I've probably earned your like too. But now, without further ado, back to Fiddlesticks. The fourth part of the Fiddlesticks brain is known as the Fear Factory, and it builds directly off of the last part of the brain. The idea here is that Fiddlesticks players never want you to feel safe. They don't want to let you have vision anywhere. They never want you to expect when they're going to show up. Fiddlesticks was designed to be scary, and his ultimate is a literal jump scare. So naturally, the people that play him are psychopaths who want to show up uninvited and kill everyone in-game. They never want you to expect that it's coming. They want to disappear from your screen just long enough for you to forget that they exist, then brutally punish you for not warding over every wall. They want the game for you to feel like you're in a permanent Nocturne ult, and be forced to question absolutely everything, and never feel free to walk up. So while Fiddlesticks in the lore feeds off of fear, so do the players who play him. If the Fiddlesticks player doesn't successfully get in your head with psychological warfare, then they're not doing enough. Or at the very least, they don't feel like they are. Once the Fiddlesticks player sees nobody pushing up their lanes anymore, they know they've done their job. And then they'll proceed to triple your jungler's CS in the meantime. But perhaps the scariest thing of all is how many times they can screw up their leash while doing 2 camps at once. And I mean seriously, just watch this Ludwig clip. If that doesn't give you nightmares, I don't know what does. But now for the final part of the Fiddlesticks player's brain. The region responsible for almost all of their dopamine. This, of course, is the Crowstorm core. Every other part of their brain just feeds into this one. All the time they take ahead of time to clear vision and get in the perfect ult position was all just for this moment. From the moment they start channeling, their pupils dilate as they look at a cluster of enemies just waiting to be killed. There's a reason Fiddlesticks is so well known for his ultimate. It's because the majority of his power budget when they made him went straight into it. Fiddlesticks without his ultimate is just a scarecrow. Fiddlesticks with his ultimate is a demon. And really the only reason you play this champion is for highlight moments with your R. I found this out for myself when I started playing him. It's like the game stops existing between ultimates. But in those moments where you do get a big ult, it's one of the highest highs you can get in League. And Fiddlesticks players are addicted to this high. Fiddlesticks will not even hesitate to throw their life on the line for the perfect ult. Even if they die for their team right before Dragon spawns, they won't regret it for a second. Because the dopamine rush of this feels so good, it doesn't matter what your teammates have to say. Losing the game is an afterthought when you're coming off the adrenaline rush of a 5-man ultimate. And maybe everyone else should be more understanding. Because chances are, if everyone else played Fiddle, they would understand too. And that will conclude all 5 regions of the Fiddlesticks player's brain. Next time you see a Fiddlesticks on your team sitting AFK over a wall in the middle of a fight, don't get mad at him. Just lure the enemies towards him. Comment below what champion we should study next, and subscribe for more knowledge.